segment, brand new segment, is the Wellness Watch. Yeah, so for Wellness Watch, I'm gonna start bringing y'all some health stuff, healthcare stuff, changes in healthcare policy or new research or any and everything in between. So let's see. I got my notes. I'm trying to get my notes, y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me though, for real. I love y'all. I've missed y'all, but I'm well rested. And I'm ready for no middleman this week. And I'm ready for me and Souls are doing another episode of Same Soil, Different Roots. Yeah, so we got a lot coming up for y'all this week. So before I move on, I'm going to be transparent. As a woman who personally deals with PCOS, and this is going to be for my ladies. So gentlemen, y'all can listen in too. So y'all get an idea of what some women go through. So make sure y'all got your ears on. So I personally deal with PCOS, which is Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. So this story hit home for me because if you know, you know. So my ladies who deal with Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, y'all know the fight that we've been fighting all these years. Some days it's not just about irregular cycles or hormones. It can affect your energy, your confidence, your emotions, your weight, your mental health, and sometimes even how you see yourself. So, and I think that's what stood out to me about this possible shift from PCOS to PMOS. It finally looks at it as a regular medical diagnosis versus what you may be going through. It finally feels like the medical community is acknowledging that this isn't just an ovary issue. It's something that can impact a woman's whole body and overall wellness. So if you're out there navigating this journey, just like me with PCOS, I just want to say, be gentle with yourself, give yourself grace, and advocate for your health because what you're feeling is real and you deserve answers, support, and care. I am so big on being an advocate for your own health care. If you have a doctor who is ignoring your request for tests, if you have a doctor who is not in tune personally, because your health care is personal, right? Your health care is personal to you. This is your health. This is your well-being, the reason of your existence. And so, I don't know why my camera doing that tonight, y'all. Maybe it'll focus back in a minute. So make sure that you are doing what you need to do in order to take care of yourself. And if you feel as though that healthcare professional, your doctor, your personal care doctor, your OBGYN, or any other specialist that you may be seeing is not doing enough for you, move on. There's tons of doctors out here who will take care of you better than somebody who isn't. Tristan said, I've heard of the acronym PCOS, but I never knew what it was exactly. Okay, Tristan, we're going to break it down. Just for you. Hey, McKenna, welcome in, McKenna. I'm glad you're here. He said, ironically, I know a lot about this. Helped a startup product that was chemical-free, disposable period panty, and PCOS can make tampons extremely uncomfortable. Thank you, McKenna. So this is for my ladies. So, Tristan, this is for you. Let me pull up. I'm not going to play the video so what's happening is, I'm so passionate about this, y'all, because this affects me every day. From hormone imbalances to irregular cycles to not being able to have a child, possibly, to hair in unwanted places, mental struggles, just overall feeling crappy and tired all the time, fatigue. It affects a lot. So let me see. Hold on, Trish. I'm gonna do this for you. And because I've been a big girl all my life. I've struggled with weight all my life until recently. Over the last 2 years, what is 2026? 2023. Ooh, over the last 3 years. I have recently been able to lose weight because and medically helped with Mounjaro. 140, 142 pounds. Now, I did have some issues last year with my gallbladder, and I did have to have that removed. It was, you know what, I need to do a story time on this because that was so traumatic for me. So I had to have my gallbladder removed. And thankfully, though, while I was having a CAT scan for my gallbladder, they found a mass on my pelvic, in a lymph node that was in my pelvic, and I had to get that removed. So I had back-to-back surgeries. But thanks be to God, that mass had no cancerous signs at all. But they did remove it. So let me let's see, PCO. I'm gonna put what is PCOS. Let me see if it gives us a very simple, quick video. Here's one. So I'm gonna play this for. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Okay, so this is gonna explain what PCOS is. So this is gonna be for Tristan, y'all. So y'all hang tight.
Polycystic ovary syndrome is a common condition affecting around 1 in 10 girls and women. It tends to run in families, but lifestyle also plays a part. It's caused by hormones which are used by your body to communicate with cells. With PCOS, 2 hormones may be at slightly higher levels. Insulin, which helps control sugar and energy processes, and androgens, which do a range of things including promoting hair growth and acne. Symptoms may vary from woman to woman, but commonly include severe acne, increased body hair around face and stomach, mood changes, increasing weight and infertility, and long-term risks including diabetes. 2 out of 3 signs are used to diagnose a woman with PCOS. Slightly higher levels of male-type hormones found either on a blood test, or acne and increased facial and body hair. Irregular periods. Underdeveloped eggs in the ovaries, often incorrectly called cysts, found from ultrasound. Your doctor will confirm if you have PCOS. The best treatment for PCOS is exercise and eating a healthy diet. Also, medications such as the contraceptive pill and metformin can help to keep your hormones within the normal range. Some women with PCOS may need some help to get pregnant. The good news is that women with PCOS mostly have the number of children they wish, but they may take a little longer and often need medication for a short time. So it's good to plan for this by starting a family prior to the fertility decline at around 33 years. It is also common to experience depression and anxiety. Being active, eating well, and getting the right support are all important. There is no cure for PCOS, but symptoms can be managed and women can enjoy a healthy life.
Yeah, so that's a little quick rundown of what PCOS is. I was formally diagnosed with it, I would say, I know it was before I had my son, and I had my son at 32. So a couple of years before that, I always had irregular cycles. It was always hard for me to lose weight. I would say I'll give you an example of hard for me to lose weight. In May of 2020, I worked out 5 to 6 days a week. I watched and monitored everything that I took in. Now that workout did include cardio and lifting. So I did like reshape my body. I did lose fat and then gain muscle with that. But all throughout that whole month of May, I did not lose any weight. Now I lost inches, but I never lost any weight. There are a lot of women out here who do have PCOS who are active, who are just a little thicker, and they can't lean out. They can't get rid of the fat. They can't lean out. I have PCOS with insulin resistance, and that's how I was able to get assistance with Mounjaro as far as the insurance company approving me for. I am so thankful and overly blessed for Mounjaro, because over those times of me working out constantly, trying to lose weight, trying to eat correctly, I will say this, I look at a piece of bread and I probably gain 5 pounds. I definitely have to watch my carb intake. I have to watch gluten, things that have gluten. I do have to do carb cycling. I will say recently I fell off, like really fell off, and I gained some weight. I deal with inflammation. There's a lot of things that I have to be so intentional and particular about when dealing with PCOS. If not, it'll get out of hand. I will be transparent. My highest weight was 420 pounds. So, and it wasn't fun at all. It was not fun. It's tough with being a woman with PCOS, because I was always told I couldn't get pregnant. And I just had that fear that I would never be a mother. So I'm so thankful that God blessed me and I was able to be a mother, or I am a mother, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop. This is going to be a story time. I'll do a story time on PCOS, my journey with PCOS, my journey with GLP-1s, and being a mother, and any and everything in between. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this story, because y'all been rocking with me for a whole hour now. I really appreciate it. Bridget said, I'm going to get to these comments and then I'm going to play the video, because what's happening is polycystic ovary syndrome have been overlooked so much, because doctors say, well, if you were to lose weight, then you wouldn't have all these symptoms. If you were to eat correctly and, not indulge in sugars and all this, my body has trouble even processing natural fruit sugars, so it's tough for a doctor to say, well, if you would lose, for years, see, I'm getting into that spiel again. I'm going off track. For years, I was told to lose weight. And it's so hard and so difficult for women with PCOS to lose weight. And with this medical diagnosis changing, all this research that they did, it's an endocrine issue. It's not just cyst on your ovaries. Whenever, I will say this, I'll tell this right quick. Whenever I was in the 8th grade, I had appendicitis. So I had to get my appendix removed. When they went in to remove my appendix, I had a cyst encapsulating one of my ovaries. They had to reconstruct my fallopian tube and get that cyst off of my ovary. And that was in the 8th grade. So I've been dealing with this since very young, So Bridget said, I'm going to move on, y'all. I'm going to move on. Bridget said, a lot of Black people say, I'm good. Doctors can't read your mind. You have to tell them everything. Absolutely. Be overly transparent with your doctor. Don't overlook things. Don't think that, that little ache, that ain't nothing. Don't do that, because that little ache can turn into something else, Tristan said, wow. Yeah, Tristan. Miles said, health is a blessing. We take it for granted so often. We absolutely do. I'm not going to mispronounce your name, but I thank you for being here. And they said, women suffer. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and all that good stuff. Tristan said, so it starts biologically. Got it. And he said, more power to you, Softy. You're not letting something like this take over. Absolutely. Absolutely. Miles with his exclamation points. Tristan said, I appreciate you for sharing this with us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Miles said, yes, thanks for your story and sharing your victory. Yes, definitely. And the journey's not over, and it's going to be a forever journey for me. I will forever have to watch what I eat, make sure I stay active, which I'm actively working on. Make sure I stay active. Just make sure you take care of yourself. We should be our biggest advocates when it comes to taking care of our body. And men, I tell this to women too, but men, y'all need to make sure y'all take care of y'all bodies as well. So I'm gonna play the story along with the PCOS name change to Poly. I'm not even gonna mess it up, y'all. I'm not gonna mess it up. So hold on, let me get this off my screen and go to the PMOS. Let's see. Let me make sure that closes out. Where are my PMOS diagnosis? Yeah, it says after a century of confusion, a whole century of confusion. So let me, hold on, y'all. Share that. Click on. Let me make that quick. All right, we're going to listen in on what prompted this change from PCOS to PMOS and all that good stuff in between. So we're going to listen into this. And then I got one more segment for y'all, the soul reset. It's going to be a feel-good story, and I'm going to get us on up out of here. Y'all been working with me.
1 million women in the U.S. have polycystic ovary syndrome, also known as PCOS.
How many women?
About 5 to 6 million women in the U.S. have polycystic ovary syndrome, also known as PCOS. It's one of the most common causes of female infertility, but officials are saying that the name can be misleading. And here's why. The name of this common hormonal disorder implies that ovaries are the cause of the condition rather than the endocrine imbalances that are behind it. So as of today, the name is changing to Polyendocrine Metabolic Ovarian Syndrome.
Polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. So it's a metabolic disease.
Dr. Kathy Hoger over at URMC shares the condition, or how the condition got its name.
It was mistakenly named that back in the 1930s, because when they operated on women who had these irregular periods and high androgen levels, they found the ovaries looked kind of bulky and had these little sort of areas that they thought were cysts because they didn't have ultrasound back then. So they called it polycystic ovary, and the name kind of stuck. However, the cysts are really just follicles. And what we've learned in the last 100 years is that the ability of the ovary to ovulate the follicles was compromised in many women with PCOS. So these are normal follicles in the ovary that simply pile up and they begin to look larger. And if you look at an ultrasound, they're fluid-filled structures that look like cysts.
Hoger adds that people are often misdiagnosed with PCOS, but then feel connected to the word as it becomes an identifier of the condition for almost a century.
People are in many different ways connected to the word PCOS because it's an identity that many people have. So there's a little bit of resistance to changing something, even if it's not a representative name. But a lot of the motivation came from those with the condition who said, listen, I'm tired of going in and telling people this is not about my ovaries, this is another condition.
Now, the process to change the name requires the healthcare community to understand PMOS as it becomes more of a well-known diagnosis.
Get the Rochester.
Let me see if I got another video for this, because I thought I had a better video. PMOS. Let's see. Okay. I think I like this one better.
Welcome to PCOS Misinformation Jail. Or should I say PMOS Misinformation Jail? Because they just changed the name. What? Why? Well, because of the mistake you just made. Calling it Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome naturally makes one think that it's all about, well, having cysts on your ovaries. But in reality, those cysts aren't actually cysts. You don't need them to be diagnosed. And even when they are there, they're just one symptom of a much more complex condition. See, before an egg is released during ovulation, it needs to be matured. So the ovary grows this little fluid-filled sac called a follicle for it to marinate in. After the egg is released into the fallopian tube, that sac gets reabsorbed and the process starts again. But sometimes these follicles just pause. They never release an egg, so they don't get reabsorbed, and you end up just having a bunch of them hanging out there looking, well, kind of like cysts. And while this is much more common among people with PCOS, it does happen to all ovaries from time to time. So simply having these dormant eggs and follicles in your ovaries isn't enough to be diagnosed, and you can certainly be diagnosed without them. Okay, well, if it's not about cysts, then what is it? The artist formerly known as PCOS is in fact a full body condition involving an imbalance of hormones such as insulin and testosterone in those assigned female at birth. Obviously, this impacts your reproductive system. It's why the eggs often don't release, and it's why irregular ovulation and thus irregular periods are such a hallmark of the condition. But that's not all that those hormones do. They impact where your hair does or doesn't grow, how oily your skin is, your mood, your mental health, and your metabolism, aka your body's ability to turn food into energy, which is why weight gain and fatigue are so common. This is why medical experts around the world have agreed to change the name from polycystic ovarian syndrome to polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. Poly, multiple, endocrine, hormones, metabolic, to do with energy production, ovarian, because while reproductive health isn't the only thing impacted, it's still a big part of it, and syndrome, like from The Incredibles. The truth is, we don't know exactly what causes PMOS. It's an under-researched and often misunderstood condition. And you know the rule, whenever there's a gap in medical understanding, you'll find grifters.
Hey, my womb warriors, here's how I cured my PCOS in just 12 weeks with a low-carb, high-protein keto diet and this amazing all-natural supplement. Affiliate link in bio.
That is enough of that. And welcome. No, you cannot cure PMOS. Given this is a metabolic condition, it's true that lifestyle changes like improving your nutrition are some of the first-line treatments to help reduce symptoms. But highly restrictive diets carry their own risks, both physical and mental. So do unregulated supplements, not to mention the cost. I get it. The medical industry doesn't have the best track record with women's health, and the promise of natural cures can be super tempting. But you should never be making drastic lifestyle changes without consulting your doctor first.
Sorry, but I know for a fact that PMOS, okay, is caused by your birth control pill. It makes your symptoms worse and it causes you to be infertile.
No, it doesn't. There is zero evidence for that. Actually, the combined oral contraceptive pill is another first-line treatment for people with PMOS to help them manage their symptoms, including irregular periods, and help them live a better, healthier life. Obviously, they aren't going to be all that helpful if you're actively trying to get pregnant, but taking them, even for extended periods, has no long-term impact on fertility once you stop. Oh, sorry, I'm just here to pick up my niece. I couldn't help but overhear. Why are you talking about getting pregnant at all? I mean, PCOS literally means you are infertile. Get in. Yes, PMOS is a leading cause of infertility. I mean, the less you ovulate, the less chances there are to conceive. But that doesn't mean no chance. So if you don't want a baby, you still need to use contraception. And if you do want one, there's some really effective medications out there now that mean the vast majority of people with PMOS.
Yeah, so she went into a little background. Maybe y'all get a better understanding of women and fertility and PCOS, PMOS. I am thankful for the diagnosis being, well, not the diagnosis, the name being changed to a metabolic syndrome. I am excited to talk to my doctor about it. I actually go see her at the beginning of next month to see if this is going to open more doorways for me as far as like my hormones and everything else, because I've never, to be transparent, even with my OBGYN and my doctor, I've never had my hormone levels checked. So I'm hoping that maybe now with this name change, with it being a metabolic, endocrine metabolic issue, officially changed to that, I'm hoping that it opens those doors for me. I've asked here and there for hormone checks and whatnot, but they haven't done any of that yet. So I'm hoping that this is going to open up those doors for me when it comes to this. So Miles said, yeah, we hard-headed with our health. Y'all men are, yes. He said he had a scare about 2 years ago, basically neglect and bad diet. Yes, we only get one of these vessels. We have to take care of it. Supermax said, never good being at the mercy of emerging science. Absolutely. Uncle Plug, welcome in, Uncle Plug. I appreciate you being here. And Supermax said, people that get it don't get it. I got you, Supermax. So I'm going to move forward to my last segment, a feel-good story. And I just closed out my browser, y'all. Hold on. A feel-good story. Let me get back to it. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna get this queued up so I can just click on it whenever it becomes time. There we go. Just say yes, this is very important. Absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna move on to my next segment. If y'all, before we move on to this next segment, if y'all are catching this on the rewatch, make sure you comment. I talk back, and make sure you like and subscribe.